This. Hi everyone, welcome to Xpand Clubhouse Sessions, and I'm so delighted to introduce you to our very special guest today, Supriya Roy. Supriya is just an amazing practitioner. I've known her for years and years and years, and she has made the entry from corporate life into more of the caring and well-being space, particularly in yoga and Ayurveda. She actually is the owner operator of a wonderful organization called Seva Transformation Academy. And she's here today to talk to us about how we can manage our energy. So welcome, Supriya.
Well, thank you so much, Anita, for that really lovely welcoming message. It's really nice to be here today on your platform. It's great to meet everybody, Simon, and I didn't catch the other lady's name.
Leah.
With Simon, Leah, and Isabel. I know I can't see you, but I met you just a minute ago. And Hannah is in her bikini, I hear. It's great to
Bali. She's living the life.
Oh, it's so wonderful. I wish I was there with her. But yeah, it's a really warm welcome. Thank you so much. Feels great to be here. Yeah.
Fabulous. So because we are Xpand, I always have a first question for guests. But what makes you live your most expansive life?
Whoa, that's a big question. Well, I think I recently got reacquainted with what my values and my vision and my goals are, and what I'm about now than what I used to be about 10 years ago. And I discovered that I stand for freedom, personal freedom. That's biggest for me. In just being able to exercise choice, live life consciously is what makes me feel really expanded at any given moment. Yeah. So that's how I would answer that question.
Personal freedom. You and I have both made that jump from, I guess, employee to our own businesses, but we've got a few people on the phone that are still within businesses. So if you were sort of working for somebody, what do you think personal freedom could be?
Yeah, well, look, hindsight is a great teacher, so when I go back to my past life working in corporate, I was very involved in, culture, people, because I used to work in compliance, and it was a small team. So me, my manager, and another colleague, and 3 people in the compliance team working with on a national level. It was all about, being the glue, and not scaring anybody and all that. So the healthy side of any corporate environment is to always look at how you can be of service, but also be of service to you. Don't forget yourself, because the corporate ladder and the pressures of performance can sometimes make us believe that, oh, it's now or never, and I need to sacrifice this 1 whole year or 5 more years to be where I need to be, and then I'll do whatever I want to do. There's this, it's coming, the carrot and the stick, that whole momentum in just being chasing and chasing and chasing. That's the unhealthy part. But if you can remember that you have to keep self-checking and have a balanced lifestyle while you're doing your career, it's completely doable. It's completely doable. I feel not everyone's meant to kind of jump ship and abandon their career,
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, because this is an interactive session, I'm going to just go around. You are not just an Ayurvedic practitioner, but you're also a senior yoga mentor.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get everyone to introduce themselves and maybe let us know on a scale of 1 to 10 what you know about Ayurveda. Feel free to be honest. I am from Indian traditions, which is where it comes from. And I'm a 1. And even though we've spent a bit of time, Supriya, we really haven't unpacked this amazing big area of doshas and how we can incorporate the energy flows in our daily lives. So I thought this might be a nice way for everyone to do their introductions, and also what you're looking forward to learning from Supriya, because I'd love this to be more, even though I've got some questions, more led from the Xpand crew. I am going to start with you, Vivian, because you just rocked up and everybody wants to know who that friendly, smiley face is.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I am sorry I did rock up late. I'm Vivian. I'm the people lead here at Particular Audience, and I would say I'm a scale of 0. I've never really heard of the practice before. I'm so really keen to sort of learn more. I think I've only really started stepping into, I don't even know if this is the correct sort of framework, but sort of meditating or anything like this until this year. So lots to learn.
Yeah, and you have a very busy job.
It's fun.
It's a great organization. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about what Particular Audience does?
Yeah, so Particular Audience does have a few different products, but overall what we do is we enable sort of retail or e-commerce businesses to help them reach their audience. But I guess our USP is through 100% data, data and 100% data protection. So we don't really capture any of your sort of data and cookies.
Okay, interesting. And you're doing really well. So congratulations on your career and what you've done, being such a senior HR person for such a cool company. And we will move to, how about you, Leah?
So hi, I'm Leah. I'm the operations lead for Supporting Independent Living Cooperative. It's a disability service that is family governed and family run for people with disability. Why it's a disability service. And yeah, I'm on a 0 because I looked at it, I don't know what this is. That's okay. And I'm always open to going to any sessions where I'm going to learn anything new that adds to the toolbox to make life and work life easier.
Awesome. Well, can't wait. Supriya, you've got a lot to teach us in an hour.
It's not, it's really, really good. It's really cool. Can't wait to engage. What about you, Simon?
I'm
Oh, it's a bit muffly.
oh. Can you hear me? Is that a bit better?
Yes.
I've got a bit closer. So I'm one of the house managers at Talc, which is one of the houses that work under Still. I'm also an RN as well, and I help run the 2 houses that we have at Talc, who help support 2 lads with autism.
Oh, it's gone out again, the voice?
I think because they're sharing a microphone. So Leah and Simon work for an organisation called Silk, who I've been supporting for a number of years, and they run family governed homes. And when we talk about living for service, these guys absolutely know what that is, because every day they're waking up to help families and people who are suffering, well, not suffering, that's not really a great word these days, but who are living with severe disabilities. Great organisation. Thank you so much, and feel free throughout to put your hand up to ask Supriya questions or put something in chat.
Yes.
We'll go over to you, Isabel.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm working for BRP, still in the corporate world, probably going to be there for a few more years at this rate. But I have heard a little bit of the practices. I think it's something to do with energy flow in the body and self-healing. So I know that there's herbal teas and things that are associated with it, but that's it. I wouldn't know much more than that.
Fabulous. Thank you everyone for your honesty. We might take that moment to just ask you, Supriya, like, what is Ayurveda? Where does it come from? what are the basics that we should start with?
Okay. Look, I am by all means, I'm not an expert at all because it's a vast ocean of knowledge, you know, so I'm only going to talk about 1/8 of the science that is being systematized over the last, well, it became a formally known science in 1947, which is very recent. But before that, it was a, have you heard of Tantra? Tantra?
Yeah.
I think people are getting images.
If I say Tantra,
They're
yes.
getting
you're
images
correct.
in their head of the Kama Sutra when you say that. Everyone's going to go home to their partners and go, okay, get ready. Supriya taught us.
Yeah, well, you know, just people are very familiar with Tantra because, you know, it's being popularized by, you know, Kama Sutra and all of these ideas about how to make our sex lives better. But you can't have a good sex life if you don't have good health, you know, and if you don't have good libido. And your libido is a direct result of your personal health, you know, and your energy, right? Do we know what I'm talking about? Are you hearing me? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Yeah. And so
Someone's wanting to
I mean, it's something that we don't talk about because it's all so it's also taboo still, but it's all coming down to personal energy, you know, personal energy management, and do we know ourselves well enough to kind of manage it, rather than just, you know, putting on band-aids whenever we're feeling tired or feeling too excited. We tend to be very reactive in general life, right? So Ayurveda kind of makes us aware of all of these ways that we can actually stabilize our health by managing our energy better throughout our daily life, instead of waiting for that holiday to have the deepest sleep and, you know, the biggest rest ever. We go for small steps every day to make the biggest difference overall, you know. So are you hearing, what are you guys hearing so far? Anyone jump in? You heard the libido.
Yeah.
Right. Well, look, it's something that's close to everyone's, you know, heart. Obviously, we're all humans, and humans need touch. We need relationships, and most relationships thrive on connection, right? And well, if you don't have energy, then how can you connect? How can you give energy, right? So that's the whole sense behind it. Anyway, going back all those years of when this science was beyond being systemized as the medical science of India, it was like woo-woo stuff, right? Where practitioners, they called Vaidyas, or Vaidya means someone that can give you medicine, right? Someone that has the right to give you medicine, or also known in English, doctors, right? Doctors translate to Vaidya in Sanskrit. So that's like the very oldest language of the East. So from back then, Ayurvedic practitioners had a lot of power because they had a lot more than just giving medicine power. They also knew how to communicate with spirits and how to work with energies that are around us rather than just within us, you know. And so they believe in the 5 great elements, right? So they believe that everything is made up of the 5 great elements, which is earth, water, air, space, fire. Who here has heard of these concepts before? Raise your hand if you have. Yeah, good. Yeah. And traditional Chinese medicine talks a lot about elements, too, right? But they actually go beyond 5 elements. They go, I think, 8 or something like that, because they include wood and silver and metals and things like that. But Ayurveda predates TCM, and Ayurveda also works with TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, and any other modalities that actually support the person gain balance. So the whole idea of Ayurvedic medicine or practice is being a balanced person, instead of depleted or overexcited or burnt out or anxious or depressed. These are all extreme highs and lows, whereas we're looking to lead life in a more sustainable way, where we kind of think before we do something. We take accountability. So it's a step-by-step journey. You can't do it overnight. So the first step is to get to know yourself a little bit better about, well, what are you made of? What's making you the way you are right now? That's the first step. So when I say that, that means you will look up what elements are in you in what proportion, right? So there's only 5 elements, and all of us have a different portion or a different proportion in us that makes us the way we are. And each of us are unique. No one is a copy. No one can be put next to each other and go, Leah and Simon, you're not the same. Or you and your brother, or you or your sister, you're not the same. Everybody is unique, because everybody's got a different proportion of the 5 great elements in them. Does that make sense?
So you're talking doshas here.
I will go to doshas next.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
but we're talking about 5 great elements.
While we're on the 5 elements, I want to talk about, you mentioned burnout.
Yes.
I think everyone on this call definitely experiences that on a weekly basis with all the busyness around them. How do you know if you're out of balance with an element?
Okay, so like I said, when we look at in a general way, we want to know, hey, what am I made of, or why do I have these tendencies? Like by Wednesday, I'm like so low that I really do have to give myself bigger incentives, like more sugary stuff to get up on Thursday morning, and a little bit of wine by Thursday night to get back up on Friday morning and then come down. You know what I mean? Do you resonate? Do you do this? Because I used to, in my corporate life, that's how I used to get by. Because that energy is like a wave, it goes up and down. And every month, guaranteed, I'd get sick because my digestion wasn't coping with that much up and down, because I was always like eating to make myself cope with the lack of energy that I had, instead of support myself through not having energy. Instead of pushing myself to have more energy, I needed to kind of go, right, but I only have this much energy. Maybe I can tweak my lifestyle in a way to make sure that what I have to do today, I will do. And then all the extra stuff has to wait because I don't have the energy. I just had to be honest, but I couldn't, because I didn't have any mentors or anyone to tell me that, you know what, Supriya, it's okay if you don't go out to after work drinks. It's okay if you don't get up for boot camp tomorrow morning, because you need some time to get to know how much energy you organically produce at the moment, your body, to be able to then go, right, so what's the extra stuff that I'm doing that that's not even translating into actual energy. It's actually depleting more of my energy. Does this resonate with you guys? Do you get what I'm saying?
Everyone's saying that they go to sugar and coffee. No, I definitely go to coffee. We've got some sugar addicts amongst us as well. Do you overindulge in all of that as a practitioner? Like
Me?
yeah, do you like
No, I don't anymore. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't rely on any stimulants anymore. Yeah. So it's been a long-term transition. I've made little steps every day to kind of get where I am now. When now, if I do all that, it has a different effect on me. I feel like I get worse body aches and I get a hangover. It's really bad if I do the wrong things now. It's almost like the universe gives you a smack for doing the wrong thing. So I don't even go there. I don't even have those cravings, right?
yeah. So
And if
Isabel's asking what's everyone's mind, can you show us how to do that? How do you get to that place where you're not grabbing the tinned ham or the coffee machine? Because it feels holier than now.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it's a bigger topic than what we can cover today. But food is one of those food and eating and diet is such a big subject in itself, right? And what we are consuming daily is coming from a deeper reason than what we have been taught about, right? So you all have learned, or we have all been educated on what are the 6 nutritional values that we have to have in our meals or throughout our day, right? The proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, water, and what's the other one?
Carbohydrate.
Carbs, yes. Right. So the 6, we have to cover that. But there's more that we haven't been shown that affects us, in the way that our body is actually performing. So everyone, as I mentioned, everyone is unique because everyone's got a different proportion of the 5 elements in them, which actually predetermines how you perform as a unique being.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah. So, okay. So now, Janita, you brought up the word doshas, right? Doshas are like another categorization system in the Ayurvedic medicine, which talks about a combination of elements, right, to help us better understand and profile the person in what kind of proportions of elements is present in this person. So my body, if I was to do a profiling test, which I'll give you a link to after this chat is done, you can actually do a quick test, which is called the dosha test. And it profiles you and tells you exactly what your composition is. And that's how you should be looking at life and your choices from, instead of going, well, my doctor said I need to have 6 glasses of water a day and little bits of carbs and more protein. You know what I mean? Those are all very high level advice. It's not personalized. It's very high level, generic advice that is for one human or all humankind. But when Ayurvedic, in Ayurvedic lens, we look at the individual individually, and this is when you do the test and you go, right, so Supriya has more fire element, because she's Pitta dosha and Vata dosha dominant. There's 3 doshas. And fire element dominant and air element dominant. And I have a little bit of earth element dominance. Okay. I mean, I don't want to go into it because there's too much jargon here that might be hard to just de-jargon in one chat. But if you can just imagine, that's how I am. So I will need to personalize the way I eat. I have to look at, I don't like it when everyone piles my desk with all these files and doesn't even ask me, am I going to manage to do them? Or I don't like it when I've done so much work and never got any acknowledgement for it. I don't like when I am oversighted, like, you know, there's no acknowledgement of my efforts, because these are my needs. My profile has these needs emotionally, physically. We also have spiritual needs that's unique to ourselves. And each of us have a different level of appetite for these things. And this is what the profiling system gives us insight into. So if the weekend comes along, I don't go reach for the wine bottle or the alcohol, because I used to, when I didn't have this knowledge, because that was culturally okay. The cultural norm was Friday night hits and we are out at happy hour, right? And then after happy hour, we make plans to go out on Saturday night. Saturday night turns into Monday morning hangover, right? That was like a loop that I was living through, because I just was in a cultural setting, like a rhythm. Whereas when I came into like a personalized way of living, that's when I realized, look, if I have alcohol, it actually increases the acidity in my body, which is really bad because I already have excess fire element in me. So the fire is just going up every time, and alcohol makes it even worse. And to have that much acidity in your body, you can imagine what sort of repercussions that will have, right?
Yeah.
So some examples is rheumatism, like rheumatic pain. Your clients might have this, or you might have this already. If you have high sugar diet, you might sense that you've got aches and pains in your body. So inflammatory markers go up.
Yeah.
And you don't have to even give it more than a year, you know, over a year's time of doing this, you'll find that you're burning and crashing at the, you know, on Mondays or Tuesdays, the second day, your pattern becomes that you burn out more than you stay up more. Does that make sense?
It's so resonating.
Okay, good.
And I don't think we all even need to be out in that sort of work environment where we're going out for drinks. We all work from home. We can just reach for the cookie tin, or reach for a glass of wine when it's Friday night. And I guess so the three dosas are Pitta, Vata.
Yes, so dosha is D-O-S-H-A. Dosha means flaws. Meaning I am flawed, you are flawed. You know, you're not perfect.
Damn.
The word flaw, dosha means that is your flaw. So it is like in nature, nothing is perfect, right? So everything in nature is actually also made up of these 5 elements, and they all have their own doshas. Even the food, like a tomato, cucumber, anything that's manifest, is made up of the 5 great elements, or has doshas, has a portion, like a proportion of elements in them that gives them the dosha profiles. So you being, if you have high pitta or kapha or vata, right? If you eat more of the same kind of foods as yourself, then you're going to go into imbalance. Right. So if you have more earth and water element in you, and you love to have watermelon and all the mangoes and all the fatty foods and the, you know, all the nourishing foods, well, you don't need it actually, because you already have that inbuilt in you.
So funny, because everyone says you should eat fresh fruit. You should eat.
But that's our general advice.
I know it's so general. In fact, if I eat or drink a fresh drink, it doesn't agree with me, because my doshas say that I need warm foods.
Yes.
So hang on, what was the third vata? Dosha,
Pitta, vata, and kapha.
Kapha, yes. Right. Yes. Okay. Can you diagnose someone very quickly? Or do you need
not really.
Right.
Yeah, but I can, you know, tell what's out of balance, which gives us a clue about what their dosha might be. Yeah. So whatever your dosha is the first one that's going to get imbalanced. So an example is, so if my dominant dosha is pitta, that means I'm high in fire and water element, right? And so if I'm complaining of having heartburn or lots of anger problem or really dissatisfied with life or never have enough, always in scarcity, well, that's all my imbalances showing up emotionally and physically, and that's because I've got too much, my pitta has been aggravated. And for me, the best lifestyle is that I wake up with the sun, go to bed when the sun goes down or by 10 p.m., eat on time and never go hungry. Like I get hangry if I don't eat, right? So that's one of my tendencies. Who resonates with hangry? Yeah. I can see most of you have pitta dominance here. Yeah. So, but the other side is that we get so caught up in our daily lives pressures that we'll miss the meals, or we'll read one article in the magazines to go, oh, this is good for your digestion, go and do intermittent fasting. And then we end up missing meals. And that causes even more problems like acidity in your stomach or burning of the stomach lining, and you compensate with coffee or some other kind of beverage to keep your energy up, and that's just not serving you because your dosha doesn't like that. So your diet, is best to keep your elements balanced, so that you're just content. The ideal feeling we're looking for is contentment. We're not looking for excitement, joyfulness, or flying. No, none of that, because that's not sustainable.
That's hard to deal with though, because we all like feeling a bit high, right? And then that's like when you have that glass, like cup of coffee in the morning, you get the buzz, or you have your first drink of gin and tonic in the evening. Everybody is after the buzz. And so when you say the most ideal place is to be content, how do we reconcile that with this human tendency to always want that high?
And content, when I say content, it's a different look for different people. Like, remember, everyone's unique, right? So someone that's kapha, high in kapha, which is probably Isabel, or I haven't seen Angela yet, or Hannah, and maybe, so kapha is an element high in earth and water. That means it's predisposed to getting depressed very quickly. Like if it's a rainy day, they'll look outside and go, oh man, I'd rather be in bed. Kapha never wants to get out of bed, basically, right? And kapha's always hungry and always greedily hungry. Never like
true, Isabel? Would you stay in bed if you could?
Oh, not always, but sometimes.
But kafas are also great managers and great leaders. So they have a big bandwidth for a lot of things going on at the same time. So, there's many ways to profile your doshas. So just saying there's strengths and weaknesses. But when we're looking at diet, like you asked, dietary preferences come from, what is correct and what is incorrect. And when it comes to emotions like that, what's contentment for a kapha is actually, it's better that a kapha laughs all the time than stays in like, that's nice, I like that, so it depends what your dosha is. And why that is important is because if you're going up and down too much, then your nervous system is also being affected by that, right? So at the end of it all, like if you're looking at Ayurveda, how it's training us, and how modern science and modern like psychology is also talking about this now, that it is all dysregulation, on all our problems, mental disorders are from a dysregulated nervous system, right? So Ayurveda essentially is teaching us how to regulate our nervous system every single day. Not, and it doesn't mean you can't get happy. It doesn't mean you can't get sad. You actually, if you do put in the work daily and cultivate that self-awareness, then what tends to happen is you actually, you stretch your bandwidth to be happier, to hold space for your lowest of the lowest times and still bounce back and not just stay there. Yeah. So we're not just looking for a one night of happiness and then 10 days of downs. We're looking for everyday happiness. Yeah.
Yeah. So we want to get out of bed with that bounce in the step. It's just like, like when my business is going well, I do jump out of bed, like, and it's being able to have that. I think with routine works to some extent with everyone. And I noticed that I like to eat late at night because everything's done and I can relax, but it doesn't agree with me.
Exactly.
At all. So, and also I hit that coffee first thing in the morning before I eat anything, which is the worst thing in terms of the amount of acidity you're putting in the body, just like that.
Yeah, and coffee is something that
And
most
I say
people
is I drink
well, coffee increases, coffee without milk, sugar, and all that is a bitter tasting food, right? And bitter tasting food actually increases the air element. And that's why it makes us go, wake up, we're like moving, because air makes you move and it makes you awake. But what tends to happen is when air element starts moving, it also moves downwards, which makes you go to the toilet, right? It makes you, that's why it turns into a diuretic. But then what happens when you do that on a regular basis? Your bowel movements are no longer natural. They're being induced, by a certain chemical or chemical reaction happening in your body.
We've talked about sex and now we're up to bowel movements.
Oh yeah, we go everywhere.
I was just wondering when that was going to come in.
We haven't talked about sex yet, but yeah, libido is a great indicator. If you don't feel like you want to make love or be intimate with someone, that is a great indicator of your own health, because our reproductive tissues are the end product of everything that we do or that we do have. It's like the asset of every human being. Yeah. So if someone has good reproductive tissues, it means they're leading a good lifestyle where they're not producing too many stress hormones in their body. They've got good bandwidth, they've got good appetite, they've got good digestion, they're sleeping well. And sex also has a routine. And libido doesn't mean you have to have sex. Libido can be translated into your presence at work. Libido is presence while you're in a party. You can hold your own self, your own energy. When you enter the room, people know you're there. You're not disappearing in the crowd. And libido is when you do public speaking or when you're engaging with a client or caring for someone. They actually feel your warmth, they actually feel your care and feel your vibration, right? So that's the indicator. Like we can, if you were to self-check yourself, then yeah, that's a good place to check. Well, do I actually feel like it? Do I actually think about it? Yeah. Do these parts of my body actually have any sensations that tell me that I'm alive? And, and we're looking at all the body parts below the navel, including the legs and the feet. the butt, the glutes, and all of this. So that's where the yoga system also comes in, which, is a holistic system that looks at toning, or not toning, but really moving the body's joints and the muscles and breathing properly so that these energies can keep moving and not get stagnated or wasted or leak out of our body.
So there's a question, does yoga activate the doshas?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't activate, but balance the doshas. Yeah. There's more to this again, but yoga is the sister science of yoga, Ayurveda. If there was a coin, one side is Ayurveda, one side is yoga.
Right.
And, they are all about looking after that human body, mind, spirit. It's like a holistic system that helps us kind of know ourselves very personally. And that's where, that's why now, after like 17 years of studying, teaching, and practicing it, now I'm totally convinced that this is like a self-mastery path, where, well, if I have any problems, then I really have to get to know why within me, not, take a generic approach to why it might have happened to somebody else I knew, and that's probably why it happened to me. That's sort of the approach, personal approach, completely.
So that gives you a lot of personal empowerment because you're not blaming outside for everything. You can sort of center it. Now, we've been covering a lot, and I want to give everyone a chance to ask you a personalized question. We've covered so much ground, but any takers in our small group? Who wants to go first?
Thanks for asking that, Isabel. That was a great question. And even if it's not a question, what are you thinking? What sort of thoughts are you having, or what are you loving about what you're hearing so far?
I'm just keen to know what my dosha is now.
Yeah, good. That's great. Amazing.
When do I get to know?
Yay! I will send you over the link or the document ASAP. Yeah. What else?
Hang on, Vivian, once you know what your dosha is, what are you going to do about it?
I feel like at first it will probably make more sense because when you're talking about all the different scenarios, I'm like, oh my God, this does resonate. I'm like getting tired and, feeling present and all of these things. And I don't know if it's correlated to yoga, but I guess when I do exercise here and there, you do feel like a sense of balance or like happier. So it's just like nice to sort of like figure out and make sense of things.
Yeah. And you said that you're getting started on your mindfulness journey too, right? Your meditation and mindfulness journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It'll really help you out to stay centered, and stay connected. So once you find your dosha out, what you do is it'll tell you what that's all about, and it'll give you like a synopsis of who you are as the dosha. And once you read it, you'll just go, oh my God, no wonder. This is why I like what I like. This is why I hate what I hate. And this is why this doesn't agree with me and that agrees with me. Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to eat that. Mom always told me, but I didn't. Yeah, like that.
Does our dosha then also like influence our relationship with other people?
Absolutely.
Because if they have different doshas, like you said?
Yes, absolutely. Exactly. So once you start to understand yourself, you'll start to see how everybody is unique, right? But because of the doshas profiling, because we use the doshas to profile someone's body and mind, right? We can then kind of know why they behave the way they do because of their state of balance to imbalance, right? So everybody in a balanced state would be the perfect version of themselves. And that's kind of like the path of mastery. Like if you are looking to create the best version of yourself, well, you're going to have to master your doshas. Like you just basically follow your dosha's ultimate expression in this body that you have, right? You can't become me. You can't become another person. Oh, okay, Isabel. Lovely to meet you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry, I have to go. They're waving at me from the
All right,
door,
we've
so I
got
have
it
to go.
recorded.
Shoot through any
Thank you.
questions you
Okay.
have later. Lovely meeting you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so
Bye.
if you're looking to create or experience the best version of yourself in health, in mind, this is the map to follow. It's like a map, this profile.
So
Yeah.
everything that we're doing in our workplaces around leadership training and
Yeah.
upskilling, this is complementary to it, taking care of our body and mind in the process.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. So when I look back at my past life, which was the corporate life, I was not eating well at all. I wasn't eating anything that supported my health. I was eating what was common food, which is, you go to the pub for good food, or you go to a restaurant for good food, but actually we don't even question how that food came about and how it was prepared. We just look at the dish and we pick it, right? But when we get familiar with Ayurvedic principles and the way we eat, we get to look at the menu and go, well, talk to the waiter and see if they can mix and match some things that are better for me, So you can still go out to eat, but order differently. And that's what I do.
Wouldn't that be
Order
great to have a Ayurvedic restaurant?
They do, but again, it's never going to be the perfect way to eat, because if you don't know yourself, nobody else, someone else can't guess what's right for you. That's the whole psychology behind it.
Yeah.
So they do have an Ayurvedic restaurant called, it's in Bondi, Nalini's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And yeah, it's Ayurvedic recipes, but it's, again, Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle is never run of the mill. Everybody's doing the same thing. It's what's good for you. You got to do, So like last night I did a lecture. I was teaching Ayurveda first timers yesterday, and I just told them I just overcame COVID following just Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle. I didn't go for the pills and all that. And they're like, oh, you have to tell us what your recipes are and what your, remedies are. I said, you'll learn all of it, because it's not one size fits all. There are certain things you can do daily that's going to set you up for success, like good digestion or good digestion, good energy. But what you choose to put in your body needs to be personalized, Like when you get up in the morning, have a glass of warm water, first thing, warm water.
Coffee
not
is
cold
warm water.
Yeah, except it's got coffee beans in it,
We
and
need to break that habit. Yeah.
and it's got milk particles in it. It's got other particles in it. And the thing is, why it's so important is it's the lack of connection to our physical system, which is the urinary system has to break everything down, right? And it's a very small passage for everything to go through. And as we age, the body just can't handle that much work. So we have to keep making sure that the body can handle over the long haul. Yeah.
Well, we went down a very specific pathway today. I think
Yes.
I knew that this group would be very curious about Ayurveda, what it is. I just want to give Leah an opportunity
Yes.
to maybe ask anything or reflect back. I know that you've got your mask on.
Sorry.
Okay.
Our resident has been diligently listening in. He's just going for a wander around. Do you change doshas, or are you kind of set in one?
Oh, you're set in one, but you can actually, okay, suppose like for me, I am lower on the earth and water element. I'm lower on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can actually bring it in through my diet, which is actually good for my other doshas that are dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And nature is amazing. Like say you're a part of nature, right? Your body is part of the nature itself. So amazingly, whatever you are born with proportionally, it's been calculated in such a way is that whatever you're supposed to be having is just that, you know, like if you are higher in kapha dosha, that means you can actually have more of the pitta dosha stuff, which is more warming, heating, you know, mobile and all of that. Whereas if you are more dominant in vata dosha, that means you'll be prone to feeling fidgety or not very grounded. So then your foods can be more kapha type, like bring in more heavier, denser foods. And
So like potatoes and root vegetables. Yeah, okay.
yeah, but there's list of foods that you can get for your doshas. So yeah, so that can actually be more high vibrational for your dosha type.
Right.
It's easier for you to digest and assimilate than it would be for, you know, others. Yeah. And proportion is always, and never get this mixed up, like your proportion of your food needs to always be according to the type of activities that you're doing during your day. It never changes to your body size or whatever, you know. You have your appetite, eat, but make sure that you're also moving enough to actually use that sort of energy that you're going to eat. But when we don't, that's when our body is not using it, you know, and so we're not actually going to be able to metabolize it, convert it into energy. Yeah.
So I don't know if Simon, we haven't given you
Yes, Simon.
the opportunity to have a mini consult with our expert here. Any questions or reflections on your end?
Yes. What are you noticing or learning or loving, Simon?
So I think, I mean, I certainly agree with you. I'm definitely in the Pitta stage, definitely. Though I would also say I've got a little bit of Kapha in me as well. Like that comment you said about the weather and not wanting to get out of bed some days. I see that definitely fits me and fits my. But I think I know you mentioned, Leah, that you generally you fit into one category, but I don't know. Are you sure that you can't have more than one element in you that kind of comes
Oh, you
through?
can. Oh, yes, you can. So when you do the test, you'll see it'll ask you all kinds of questions like what sort of hair you have, eyes you have, tongue you have, skin, what are your tendencies with your digestion as it is or has been, what sort of preferences do you have when it comes to temperature? So who here prefers the warmer weather? Raise your hand. Warmer weather. Okay, and who here prefers the cooler weather? Yeah, okay, so I mean not cold, right? Just cool. Yeah, so that goes to show, look, warmer weather can either be kapha or vata, usually because vata dosha is predominantly air and space element, so they'll always want warmth. And kapha also their water and earth element, which is naturally very cold. So both of you or both groups have more kapha and vata in them, and you're probably pitta like myself, right? You prefer cooler then. than the warmer. Yeah, and most people that have high pitta and no vata or kapha, they won't be able to stand any warmth. Like I need warmth because of my vata element that's there as well. You know, so I can't handle cool or cold. I never switch the aircon on. I'm always like neutral. Neutral is best. I'd rather have things on me than, you know, I prefer that.
I get that. I can't drink cold water.
Yeah.
I think a few people here can. Who's a cold water drinker? I think guys love to drink cold water.
Sometimes,
yeah.
But it's also a habit. The cold water thing is also a habit for many people. But Ayurveda also recommends don't have cold water at all, unless it's scorching hot weather, and that might give you some, you know, comfort. But if you're talking about hydration happens only with warmer water, not hot, warm water. Yeah, it actually penetrates the cells.
Not even room temperature, like a little bit.
Room temperature is fine based on the season and the temperature of the environment. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Well, how, like, you're going to send us the test?
Yeah.
So I'll share that with everyone's just dying to do their dosha test. And like, I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing this time. Like, we've all had these consults can take hours on an individual level. So to be able to cover all of that in a short amount of time is really useful. And we can all sort of now take that back into our daily lives and start to have another piece of information that goes, okay, well, in that situation, I feel a little bit frustrated. What can I do to get myself into a more neutral place that's within my power to be able to deal with that more effectively? And I think self-mastery, there's nothing like it. I haven't reached that pinnacle of self-mastery. I'm always a continuous learner. But I feel as you get these things into your system, when something external happens, it's less likely to make you feel down and crazy, and like you recover a lot more quickly.
Yes.
So I'll also share your details with everyone in case they would like to either, get in contact with you about yoga or about an Ayurvedic consult or for any other information. But I just wanted to say a big namaste.
Thank you so much. No, it was a pleasure being here. What a lovely group. It was a nice and intimate chat, and it always felt like a catch up with friends and friends I haven't met yet, but it didn't feel like that, So thank you so much for being so warm and inviting. Lovely to meet all of you and hear from you as well. Thank you.